Welcome to Inside of the Pleasure Studio podcast, where we strip down truths and bear it all as we get real about all things sex, intimacy, and relationships with oneself, another, and the world around us, celebrating the joy of being fully alive and exploring what it means to live a life rich with passion. Every episode, we confront the conventional and break open the cages of censorship as we explore the untamed and often unspoken aspects of intimacy, cutting through the bullshit as we challenge sexual norms and provide you with the unvarnished truth about what it takes to have a fulfilling sex life. So if you're ready to dive into honest and very often provocative conversations that empower and enlighten, you've come to the right place. I am Melissa Louise, your wild host, bringing to you fearless honesty on this unapologetic journey as we talk about sex, love, and life in ways that are smart, fearless, and fun. Because, lover, this is not just about pleasure. It is a fucking revolution. Hey, lovers, welcome to this episode where you can ask me anything. If you're here listening to this and wherever you are, if it's on YouTube, if it's in the email, just return and you want to have a question that you want me to answer about relationship, sex, love, desires, erotic blueprints, whatever it is, ask away and I will answer it to the best of my ability. So today I've got two questions I'm going to answer. One is from Laura and one is from David. And Laura's question is about squirting. And Laura says, I have never actually squirted during orgasm, but I feel when my partner is penetrating me that I have these really deep orgasmic experiences and it feels like an orgasm, but because I'm not squirting, is it really an orgasm? I love this question. So the infamous G-spot orgasm. First of all, it's not a spot. It's a prostrate gland. In the tantric arena, they call it the sacred area. It's a whole area. And yes, through your prostrate gland, you can squirt. But you can also experience orgasms in this area. And for men, it's actually up your anus. They call it a refractory. There is no refractory period, which means there's no period, there's no peak and drop off. It can keep on going and keep on going. And what I absolutely love about the G-spot orgasm is that it is so varied the way that you can experience. So ejaculatory is part of it, but also too, you can be in absolute bliss and be so bliss. A bit of a cranky word, like it's not enough word. You can be in experiencing orgasm after orgasm after orgasm, peaks and valleys, like the rise of going up to a more expansive type sensation, coming down. There can be spaciousness where it feels like, oh my God, it's gone, but it's kind of this space, the space of in between, and then more comes, and this is for men as well, up in your anus. But you, for women and for men, you can be leaking. There can be a prostate fluid, so it's a white fluid. Now, this may not squirt out, but you have this white prostate gland fluid coming from the gland whilst you're in orgasm. It can feel like, and for everyone, I mean, there's not one size fits all, but I know for me, and I know when I speak to my female friends, it's this thing of like, oh my God, is it ever going to end? And if we take away this perception that we reach an orgasm is something that we're having out there and we'll get to it and things will finish, like this peak experience. If we can open into it, surrender open into it and just really go with it, it can feel like this. If you have an image of a flower opening, like the rosebud on time-lapse opening, this thing that just opens and opens and opens and opens. And then, of course, there's ejaculatory, the G-spot, the sacred area, the prostrate gland orgasm can completely flood the floor. And this is one really important thing to understand, especially in this area of the vagina and for men up in their anus. The prostrate gland is dedicated to or stated to be the emotional orgasm in the Taoist culture. So it is not uncommon to have this absolute, sort of incredible ecstatic feeling. And then once, during the release of energy, when you're having this orgasm, that tears will come. And maybe there's a spaciousness of sobbing and crying, and then there's ecstasy afterwards. So this motion, to try and describe in motion of what a G-spot, a sacred area orgasm is like this. It can go like this, boom, boom, boom. And there's always important to bring sound, breath into the whole experience to see where it goes. So ejaculatory or not, you would still be experiencing G-spot orgasms. This is my fabulous cup of tea, which is actually turmeric, so I'm probably going to have yellow teeth in a moment. And so this next one's from David, and I love, and it's very simple, but I'm going to really expand on this. I love it. So this is from David. Oh, how do I get my girlfriend to take part in my fantasies? So as thank you for asking that. First of all, how do I get? I want to dissect a bit of the languaging here, and not dissecting the languaging to place this in the arena that you're not going to get your desires taken care of. Getting someone to do anything, that sort of languaging is like a manipulation. So I just want to disintegrate that a bit, but I'm not sort of trying to make you wrong but my invitation is for you to use languaging that's more open and inclusive and with curiosity. So we're just saying that. I want to come back to the fact that in sexual and intimate relationships, in friendships, in all relationships that we have a responsibility to be with the other person. So in friendships, like this is coming out of sexual relationships, within friendships, we have a responsibility to make sure that our friends' nervous system feels safe when we're talking to them. So we may change the way that we talk. We may change a few bits of our behavior so that our friend feels safe or feels included, or so that they can really hear us. This is the journey of life. So the reason I'm using this example is how we do life is how we do sex. How we show up in bed is how we show up in life. So how we do one thing is how we do everything. And what always intrigues me is in business, in family relationships, in friendships, if we have children, there's a general consensus that we're always going to be shifting and changing, and it's important to understand the other person. Yet when it comes to sex, there is often a dogmatic view that I used to always say is very old school, yet it's very prominent through many cultures, through many households, through all throughout the world still. And I would say because we don't speak about sex enough, that it is quite prominent. But when it comes to sex, that to expand, to explore, either means there's something, one person A may feel, well, there's something wrong with me. If you want to try that, what's wrong with what we're doing? Or if that's a bit strange, if you want to try new things or you want to do that, well, that means there's something wrong with you. We often may not speak our desires. Like people will tend to hold their desires close to their chest and not tell their husband, tell their wife, tell their partners, tell their lovers that they're about to, engage in, that they don't share what they truly desire. And this comes from feeling embarrassed, being shut down, not having the skills or the tools to actually share things in a way where you can be received well. And because for some reason we deem it strange to speak about these things and we don't want to embarrass ourselves. So I want to come back to this part, David, where I love the fact that you want to explore. I think it's freaking awesome. And I love the fact that you want to include your partner in this, which is awesome. So there's some really great, really great questions to ask when you are sharing what you would like to do, what you would like to explore. And those questions are, what do you need from me to give that to you? What do you need from me so you can give that to me? That's when you're asking the other person. And also when you're sharing something, really take your time, slow down, and say you are sharing, say you have a desire of, I want to have riskier sex. Now, the word risky or riskier to you is going to mean something. When someone else is hearing that, it could mean something totally different. So what's really important when you're sharing something, just using this example, I want to have riskier sex. Riskier sex looks like this to me, or this looks like this. To me, it looks like this. You've got to explain what it means. So riskier sex for someone, maybe you want to have it, they want to have it out in the middle of the day, in the lounge room, they want to do it in the kitchen, they want to receive fellatio, or, in the bathroom of a beautiful restaurant with the door locked. For someone, risky sex would be they want to have it in the cubicle of a bathroom in a restaurant where the door's not locked. Like, it's getting really clear what risky sex means, because what risky sex is to someone may not be risky at all. And that doesn't mean it's not risky. Then it gets diluted and now it's not risky. It's just like, oh, this is what it means to me. So coming back, I think I've jumped forward. Coming back to having our desires met, it's always a two-way street. And it's always great to have this conversation when you want to share something that feels risque to you, or feels like it's high stakes. That's a better word. It feels like it's high stakes, to share it outside of the situation. So bringing up a desire or something new, that a fantasy that you have in the middle of sex, or just as you're about to, go to sleep, or just when you are having sex or you're kissing, can feel really confronting. It's like something's landed on the person. It's best, like, take your girlfriend out for coffee, take her out for coffee and cake, or take her out for dessert, or, do something that's a bit different as well. I always find, if you're going to leave it late at night, especially if there's been glasses of wine over dinner and stuff, and it's been a lot, like, you don't want to leave it till the end when there's other things that take part. Create a time where where there's nothing that can impart sort of, if I don't know, I just find having conversation around sex with alcohol really tricky. I just think for some people it's fine. I mean, if you're really comfortable with your partner and you don't get drunk really quickly and you can whatever, but to me, it's always better to have substances out of the scenario when you're talking, especially when you're feeling nervous. So you're saying, there's something I want to speak to you about. There's actually something I want to share with you. There's something I would like to speak to you about. And I'm actually nervous about bringing this up with you. I'm nervous of being rejected. Be really courageous in sharing how you're feeling. Be really courageous in sharing the truth. Especially, David, you're the one asking the question, and I'm assuming, and I'm making, no, it is, you have said girlfriend. I'm assuming you're in a heterosexual relationship. Yes, you have said girlfriend. As a man, when you share your vulnerability with your woman, it's going to really open up. Now, this is not a manipulation, but it actually creates trust. So if you share with her that you're nervous, you share that you're feeling vulnerable, but you share, it's like, I really, also share with her what you love about the relationship, what you love about her and your intimacy together. You could share with her, I love how much trust we've built with one another. I love how comfortable I feel with you. I love how you share with me, how you feel when we're making love. I love the noises that you make. I really love the way that we make love together. I love our sex life together. And I actually want to share with you some things that I would love to explore with you. I feel really safe with you, and I would love to put these on the table. Are you open to hearing these with me? And are you open to sharing some of yours with me? Prefacing a conversation that way is going to allow, first of all, by her giving consent, like, yes. And maybe she's like, if she says no, you can say, is that a no for, like, you don't want to have the conversation, or what do you need to feel comfortable to have this conversation? It's a step by step. And maybe she's like, oh no, it's great. It's just right now I've got so much on my mind. I want to give this space. You're like, fucking awesome. And so you create a time to speak about it. And then when you're sharing with her your fantasies, unless it's, this is within reason, Dan Savage speaks about this. This is that responsibility where I started when I was speaking before about, we find ways to speak within friendships and within families that really works for our friends so that they can hear us. we need to go to them so that they're comfortable being with us. And it's a responsibility of us to be able to speak well, and so people feel safe when we're talking with them. It's also a responsibility in relationship to go and be and take part in what our partners want to explore with sex. Sex is like nothing, is no different to everything else, and you're in relationship because of sex. So to be completely shut down all the time around your fantasies and your desires from your partner, then that shows that there's some work that person needs to do. And within reason, like if you're obviously like, I want to have threesomes and I want to have group sex and I want to do all of these things that feel really full on for your partner, it's like start with baby steps. I'm not saying some of these won't be able to be considered, but it's like there obviously needs to be safe. There needs to be safety and trust. You can always ask, like if it's a threesome that you want, it's like, it's something I would really love to explore with you. What would you need to feel comfortable with that? And allow your partner to share what you need. And maybe she's like really open to it. And this is the other thing, is like if she's really open to it and she would like to have two men and her, and you want to have two girls and you, then both of you have the same thing on the table. And it's like if she's going to consider being with another girl in your space, then you also would need to consider being with another man in her space. It's not okay to have your desire taken care of and hers not. So you then also find this beautiful way to go, awesome. It's not a tit for tat, but it is like, awesome. I would love to experience that with you. And would you, be willing to experience this with me? And it's an open conversation, but remember to use these sentences. What do you need from me to give that to me? And it could be time. It could be more exploration, like more information. When I say exploration, more information. And then what do you need from me? And then also to say, this is what it looks like. So I would like to have a kinky fantasy, and a kinky fantasy looks like this to me. And finding, if things feel really extreme for your partner, finding what are the steps that you could take part in, what are the things that you could do leading up to that, to going, and after this, and you feel really comfortable with that, would you be willing to consider this? So when we look at within reason, is everyone has their own within reason, but it's also, when we're looking at, Dan Savage uses this example as well. It's like if you have a partner who has a foot fetish and they want to massage your feet, they want to clean your feet, massage your feet, suck your toes, paint your toenails, that is fucking within reason. If they get really off on that, they're very happy, they feel really satisfied. And what you need to do is really sit there and receive and have your feet adored. And it may not be for you, you might think that's really, a little bit strange. It might not turn you on, but it turns your partner on. Within reason means you can be that foot. You can allow your feet to be adored. Yeah, that is within reason. When we're talking about, it's not enough to go, well, that doesn't make any sense to me, so I'm not going to take part in it. It's kind of like, your partner being, Ethiopian and wants to take you to an Ethiopian restaurant, and you're like, well, I don't eat lamb at all, but there's other things on the menu, and you go, well, I just don't understand, like I only eat steamed vegetables and whatever. And it's like, if you were to never go to an Ethiopian restaurant and never eat food that your partner wants to share with you, that is not within reason in the relationship. That's really shitty behavior. So it's the same thing within our sexual relationships. It's like, when things are within reason, if you're going to shut it down, then it's that's just not considering your partner's likes and dislikes, just like their likes and dislikes in sports, their likes and dislikes in food. And so this means getting good, and maybe getting good at conversing and having good conversations is what's needed first before having, sex conversations. If you're not able to have really good conversations around other things, then suddenly being able to have good conversations around sex is going to be tricky. So maybe it's about finding really good ways to communicate. That was a big log answer to that, but I loved it because I loved it. This is what I love about men. It's like straight to the point. But it's more than just how do I get my, girlfriend to do it. It's like, how do you create the container of safety where these can be discussed to find out what she needs and to find out what hers are as well. So I hope this was really helpful. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Ask me anything. Ask me anything. I think someone else uses that tagline. I have to think of what, so just ask me. And I look forward to your questions that come in either by Instagram through returning into this from this email or on YouTube if you've seen this on YouTube. Have the most amazing day, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this, and fill your life with pleasure and always with pleasure. Bye for now. Lover, you have been inside of the Pleasure Studio, where all things intimate are up for discussion. Thanks for getting real with me today, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. If this conversation sparks something within you, do not hesitate to share it by emailing me via the link below. If you're not already, you can follow my good tush on the social media handles also below, and make sure to hit subscribe. Tune in next time for more truths about pleasure and passion. Until then, stay bold, courageous, and truthful as you explore your pleasure your way.